everyone, welcome to another edition of the Qorent-Xperts podcast, and it's great to have you listen in. Thank you so much for the feedback and awesome contributions to our previous episodes. And today I have with me the amazing Tobechukwu Onyema Engineering Manager at Qore, and we're basically going to be discussing how product and engineering intersect. So thank you for agreeing to do this again, Toby. So I'm just going to get right into the questions. So first, can you tell us how your journey in the tech industry has been so far and how you came to specialize in engineering?
All right. So to be fair, this goes back to like primary school. No, not primary school. Secondary school days.
Mm-hmm.
I was a pretty smart kid. I'm just not trying to brag or anything.
Oh shit.
Yeah, that's why you have the top 1%. But yeah, but like the story there is not really about being smart. It's just as a smart kid, what you tend to want to do are difficult subjects with very funny looking names. So I wanted to be a petrochemical engineer. To be honest with you, no other reason except the fact that I thought it was sophisticated.
Yeah, the name.
Yeah, right. But and I remember the school I went taking jam. I went to the executive director's office and he sort of ask you why you want to do the course. I didn't even expect that question. And then when he asked me, ideally I'll give some bogus answer as to why I wanted to do it. He couldn't pass anything but oil money, and I felt that, if you had this kind of grades, you should do this kind of course. And I just told him point blank that I didn't know why I wanted to do it. And I'll get to why I'm giving the story in the first place. He then asked me what I liked to do. And then I thought about the one thing I did in school that wasn't a curriculum, but I just enjoyed doing, like we stay long hours after. And that was just playing computers. So I started writing QBasic. I was in SS1, SS2. And we were two in the class, me and my friend. And we would always stay there, like people didn't like it, but like we'd always stay there like long hours, like even post after class was done, we'd come back during our break time, and no one had to make me do that. But I never noticed that I enjoyed doing it, just the depth of experience to it. And then I also did like website programming, web application programming, website programming to be fair, my IGCSE, and I also did enjoy it, and I was very good at it. It's just I like the fact that you could create something that's like a living, breathing thing. So you write the code, give it an instruction, and then you operate based on conditions. So that was close to as humanly possible as it could be. So sort of explained. To be fair, I don't even think I didn't even think about it first of all. He just told me. He started listing stuff he thought I would like. Do I like maths? Because I was good at maths. I was like, I kind of love maths. And he mentioned computers, and I was like, computers. I'm like, what does he mean? It's like, you notice that I'm always when everyone is gone, I'm always there. And I was like, that's true. I actually love computers. And then he said, how do I want to work? It's a very interesting question. And I said, I didn't even know what remote work was about then. I said, I would love to be able to work from anywhere and from confined, like without being confining me to like a space. And then he said, he thinks like computer science, like he's computer engineering, that's what he said would be like a great choice for me. And I said, okay, I'll think about it. So then my friend also, his dad told him to do computer science. So I was going to do computer engineering, and then I went back and asked him how long does it take to do computer engineering. It took me 5 years, and computer science was 4 years. I was like, I'm doing computer science. I can't just spend 1 extra year in school. So like, yeah, and I remember like the owner of the school was like, you do it so well, like I just had to dash people grades, because like computer science wasn't as high in terms of marks. I was like, that's fine, man. I'd rather not spend 5 years in school. So like, even I didn't know anything about computer science, so I didn't exactly choose that path. So you got birth from two questions: what do I like doing, and how do I like to work? And things around computer sort of fits into that. And that's sort of how like I studied computer science in school. So the next big thing about it was I was in school, just being a good student. I'm not explaining, like it wasn't anything deep to me. And then it got to a point where I saw someone who wasn't so great in terms of academia, but he could build stuff. And I was like, I would have spent 3 years. Like I think this was my 300 level, Omega semester. I was like, how would I have spent 3 years like studying computers and I can't build anything that people can use? So we were writing pieces of code here and there, understanding algorithm, all this funny thing. I was like, I can't actually build anything that people can use. And this guy had built Instagram all over again. He had built Twitter before. So I was like, I want to know how to do this. Right? And I started hanging out with him. We used to talk. I helped him get like maths. I helped him with academia part, and then he just sort of used to guide me around, like, things I should learn. So he put me within this sphere of what I should learn. And then the next semester I went on IT, and my IT, I was so determined to learn how to build stuff that people can use. So I just didn't want to build things that no one could use for the fun of it. And that's how I started, like, actually web development. So I'm very, very intrigued about the usability, utility of anything that I build. So how people use it. The first thing I could think about was website. So I started building websites. So I'll go on Pinterest, pick out like random. Pinterest had like a world of like sites, like those designs. So I'll take those designs and try and make them applications, right? And websites at first. I just kept doing that. Then I started building web applications, and there's just being able to build stuff that people could use that solved the problem. Like, it just resonated with me. And then I came back, had my final year, did my final year project, learned a couple more languages. And then after school, I'd taken, I think I said this before, in like one of the, I taken like I think Abzone came, a bunch of others, companies, they came to my school to give like assessments and like something like a career day thing. That's not career day, a workshop, And then that's how like I took a test. I didn't even know what I wrote the test for. I was just bored. I was just like, okay, let me just write the test and see if I still have it in me to pass. That's actually what I was thinking. Let me see if I still have it in me to pass. And then like because then we did like aptitude test and all those things. And then I'm at home still like working on, at this time I was actually working on improving my design knowledge, because I said I want to build stuff that people use. So I was very I was very fixed on how can what I'm building translate to utility. So I started learning about design and user experience and building up on stuff. I get this text message from Abzone saying that I should come for an interview. First I was like, is this not kidnapping? Then I messaged my friend. My friend is like, oh, we got the same text. I started to notice the theme around it, that it was like people in my set. So then that's how I came, and that's how I started in Abzone. And then I started working on C#, did that.net. I've been doing that for a while now, and building applications. I was still working on my front-end knowledge and my design knowledge along those lines. And I've always wanted to know the entire life cycle of a product, right? How to take things from a concept, an idea, to build into something that's a solution, but not the solution for you that other people could use. And technology seems to be the most effective way. The most effective way, right? For me at that moment, right? Easy was cheaper to build with it. It's really engaging the mind, a lot of moving parts to think about. Like, you literally are thinking like different dimensions, different ways, and those things really struck a chord for me. And I've been programming and been an engineer ever since, actually.
Wow, amazing. You really have an interesting story there, Toby, and it's good to see how you've grown over the years and how you're still growing. The next question: so how do you balance technical feasibility with product vision when making decisions?
So I think at the core of anything product is to understand foundationally what a product is and the role of the product. A product is a vehicle for value, right? So at the core, everything is all centered on value. So for me, like, technical feasibility and product vision, the balance for me is understanding the expectations in terms of like from the company's perspective and the customer's perspective. So I keep the customer's view and the value we're creating in view. What's the value for the business? What's the value for the customer? And then navigate technical complexity by being able to provide the minimum lovable experience. So it's like there was always going to be timelines. There's always going to be budgets for every single thing, right? So as someone who's an engineer building products that are going to be customer facing, I need to, at every point in time, understand what value means, when value is attained, and to what degree, and to be able to build a minimum level experience. So just the idea of a minimum level experience sort of guides the kind of decisions and trade-offs that I make. right, when we're building a product. And a good example would be if we're trying to ship a particular feature. Let's give an example of balance inquiry, because we're in the financial space. So we have this product that we had shipped before, and let's say before, like customers couldn't read the balance from their cards, for instance, and we're like, okay, in order to achieve this balance inquiry feature, right, we have, this is we're just trying to like a prototype or something, trying to see whether people want this kind of feature or not, and they say, we need to validate this idea in like 2 days or something like that, like a short period of time. At this moment in time, first question I should be asking would be any question that would let me identify how to reduce complexity to be able to achieve that particular time. So a good example would be, what scale are we looking at? If we're trying to build a feature that is just for them to do beta testing with a couple users, I shouldn't be focused on setting up a large infrastructure to be able to support that. So it's like, if this large infrastructure setup is going to take me 3 weeks to do it ideal, then can I still create the minimal level experience by creating something that can just serve 100 people? So that balance, right, where for product, right, shipping fast, especially in like a fast-paced environment, how do you ship fast? You should think about that. I need to be able to ship fast, and shipping fast is about understanding how to navigate those complexities. So I look at everything that's going to go and say, what requirements can I reduce that still creates this lovable experience for this customer and provides the value to the business? Because the quicker they can validate this particular assertion that they have, the quicker it is for them to be able to build other things, to be able to decide whether or not they should focus on it. Like, it just informs the business a lot better. So keeping that value at the center is key. To always think, and value is not just for customer, also for your company.
Yeah.
Because there's no point in shipping a feature that is no longer relevant. So keeping that at the center and then thinking about a lovable experience. Because it doesn't matter if I ship this stuff in 1 day, if everyone they give it to you doesn't work. So it's like, how do you create that lovable experience, and asking those kind of right questions in terms of, okay, to what scale are you trying to build this for? Understanding what does the minimal level experience, what's that for? For like what's that for the customer, and what's that for the business, right? Is waiting 2 weeks to deliver this important? Like, is waiting 2 weeks to deliver this okay? Is waiting 4 weeks to deliver this okay? What benefits does waiting that 2 extra weeks give me that could leverage the customer, that could help the business or could help the customer, right? And if we're like, we can't afford this thing to stay past 2 weeks, I can give you something that works in 3 days, and before you can ramp up and scale within the next 1 month, I should have given you something that could be able to last you scaling up to 1 million users in that case. So yeah, so like those are the kind of things I always keep in view, especially as an engineer building products.
Okay, cool. If I hear you well, you talked about keeping value at the center of both ends. We have engineering and then we have the product guys. While the products are saying, this is the idea we have, this is what we want to build and stuff like that, there is also the engineering managers asking the key questions of what are the requirements for these products to be shipped, what is the scope, what is the scope we're looking at, what's the time frame. So it also guides you in, okay, this is what we can build, this is what is feasible within this time frame, while considering the value to the company as well as value to the customer and the experience that you're trying to build for at the end of the day.
Spot on.
Okay, cool. So I'm going to ask you the next question. Can you give an example of a product feature that was born from this cross-functional collaboration between maybe engineering and product?
Oh yeah, so the pay transfer feature is like a very good example of this cross-functional collaboration. So pay transfer feature is a feature that, like, the main offering there was confirmations, right? So we do transfers today for merchants, and they're normally very risk averse. They don't really like doing stuff like that before now. Why? Because if I do a transfer to you, I need the integrity of you to tell me, the merchant to say, I received it, and you to say you sent it.
True.
So it's like, I don't trust you don't trust me in that regard. So we built something to provide that trust. That even indeed I got this, my terminal will tell you.
Yeah.
So you don't need me to tell you anything. So that's like the long and short of what that feature is about. So it's like a bank transfer feature where you do a transfer to a particular account, and then terminal just tells you and prints out a receipt. So when we're working on the future, at least from product perspective, so the product tells us the what, engineer S is the how. But then like a lot of the what is fed is also influenced by how, right? Because what doesn't just mean what we are building. What also means what is needed for what we're building to be successful. So like I explained earlier about timelines, right? So I thought of this idea to be this confirmation, and then we were like, we are not even sure if it will be accepted in the market, right? And so ideally, when you bring something like that to the engineering team, we discuss as to what the requirements are and what problem, try your why. So like if you're working with product as an engineer, it's very important to just ask your why questions, because product team already have the whys. But if you don't understand the why, you will build a miss. That's so that you always build a miss. At least to a certain degree, you will build a miss. If you don't understand the why, sometimes the product team they may not know they may not understand how to break down the value, like in terms of incrementally, simply because they don't really know the inner workings of the how. And that's why like how I work is I wear the hat of a technical product owner, even as an engineer. So when I'm going into my meetings, I think technical product ownership. And what does that mean? Product ownership generally is about, their job is to maximize the value. So a product manager may tell you this is what we're building. A product owner is the one that tells how we go about delivering it, in terms of we do this now, then we do this now, and do this now.
Life cycle.
Exactly. So like that's what they are. And like a technical product owner is the one that comes from a technical perspective into the house. So how does this translate? So we could have built out a separate microservice for this to be able to handle the number of notifications we're going to get. And we looked at the things required to set up that infrastructure, and then when we looked at it, we were like, this thing may take us a month plus, probably more than a month to do this. And then we looked at the reason why they were doing this was to validate an idea. So we don't need something elaborate, right? So instead we just built an application that could not scale, literally. It is 100 users at best. And then like we did that within like 2-3 weeks, right? Shipped it out, had them test, validate the ideas. They saw the need. People try this once, try this, and then they started to fine tune it, because we were taking a different approach before, an approach in terms of experience where we generated a new account per transaction. So every customer that wanted to do a transaction, they generate a new account. That was the initial approach we took. So you even see how engineering was quickly able to allow product to validate that was not the best experience, because what that required was, let me give you an instance, you always needed the merchants to intervene. Because as a merchant, imagine if I'm in the place, for instance, serving food, and everyone that wants to pay, I have to go there and click to say this is the account number, this is the account number, this is the account number, this is the account number. It takes away, like you're literally shifted away from your business to come and be showing people account numbers. So when we thought in that light, right, which we hadn't thought about in the first instance, we now realize that maybe those dynamic accounts are not the best way to go for our use case. And we're able to validate that quickly. And the next iteration that we're building, they already got that feedback from the data that they gathered from putting it in the market, and we're able to do it quickly. So before the next 3 weeks, we already started the second iteration of the product and delivered it, and we shipped it, and then we had a more stable product that can now scale to meet the demands of the users. So that cross-functional collaboration was very beneficial. And now pay transfer is one of, like, we have like ideally card withdrawals and like funds transfers are normally the largest transactions types that people use. The pay transfer is like a hybrid of both of them. Right. So it's really fast rising, and was able to disrupt like a lot of things in the payment space. Right. So that was like a cross-functional collaboration.
Wow, cool. To move straight to the next question, which simply speaks to emerging technologies. We can hear a lot of buzzwords flying here and there, but how do you see the relationship between engineering and product management evolving with emerging technologies?
All right. So in this context, I would say the one emerging technology that's the elephant in the room at the moment, and that would be AI, for instance, right? And literally leveraging data that we have in order to make better and informed decisions, one, and also to sort of take the weight of some repetitive tasks or just like an assistant. Let's put it that way. Tools from the beginning of time are always an extension of human beings, right? If a man couldn't see his imagination, he created a television. If a man couldn't dig the ground with his hands, he created a hole. Everything's always an extension of who we are. And I believe that like emerging technologies that are coming now, they are still the same thing, an extension of who we are. So like products, they've always been like a lot of like data work has been happening for time now, and that's the space of data engineering and data analysis. And the AI that we have at this is nascent stages as is right now. It's more of us being able to do a lot more with a lot less, at least in certain aspects of who we are. So like having assistants that could look through a bunch of things like manual tasks and repetitive tasks that we have and be able to create it a lot faster than if we on our own were able to do that. It's at the moment I don't think it's going to displace people right now. I know that's always like something everyone's always thinking about.
Of course, for concern.
Yeah, but it's an extension of who we are, and the sooner we realize that, it's the better for everyone. So as technology like AI now coming into play, you have this wealth of information that you can quickly ask questions and derive answers from. You have this tool that can help you do some very manual stuff that you otherwise would have had to do by yourself. So like in terms of the synergy it brings for both of them, I feel it just brings a lot more ease to the way we collaborate and work together, simply because we just have our assistants on our own. And also it could help every person understand the other aspect of the work that they are doing. Like if a product guy now wants to ship a product, for instance, as a product manager, I can literally put the product in ChatGPT and ask what it would take to build that kind of product to a particular scale, and I would understand the technical complexities around it, and it will be able to help me in my work. And as an engineer, right, if I'm trying to, I could take the same requirements and try to understand what kind of edge cases that could come out of it, right? It just help fortify what you already know how to do. And automating tasks, especially as an assistant, right, I see that being like very, very like useful, assisting you to do a lot of things that you otherwise are taking a bunch of time to do. So that's the terms of collaborating between people, and individually on their own, you can really see how AI could revolutionize a lot of work, a lot of things that could come out like from the product relationship that we have, because now like the boundaries to which products you can create and build are starting to become less clear. Like I could speak and I create a product where I could just speak and he understands what I'm saying and it does what I need it to do. So the way the product team starts to think about what value is, starts to change and morph to be a lot more in sync with who human beings are and how more natural, because we know that this guy has a wealth of information, has the computing power to think about it and be able to assess it and be able to provide certain information. Obviously, it's not that accurate, right? The input you give into it is what determines how well, like the things that come out of it. But it still provides a significant amount of value. And the more we start to leverage and play around with that, we can start to tap into what is like a different understanding of what's possible. So like that, I would say like emerging technologies in that sense, I feel like those would, at least for AI, that would change. The other emerging technologies like blockchain, blockchain is interesting because, but that's like for Zone. I know we have sister company Zone, but blockchain as an idea on its own, it's a system of decentralized like thinking. What everyone wants to have like decentralized government, right? Just thinking in that way can help you create societies where, or products or environment or ecosystems where trust is mutual, right? So it feeds into it just gives you a lot more possibilities in terms of what you can build for people, right? Simply because these things they take away they bring a huge relief in terms of either the work that we are doing, the resources it takes us to build certain things, and even this understanding of what it means to coexist, like in terms of blockchain. So they do change the things in that light.
Cool. Okay. I must confess that this has really been an insightful conversation. I have 2 more questions to go for you till then we can wrap up all these insights that you've shared so far. What advice would you give teams that are struggling to find harmony between their engineering and product teams?
Right. So I'll say depends on what struggle means, right? In the end, any collaboration requires effective communication.
Yeah.
And so it starts by understanding the role that you play and understanding when you are supporting and when you are leading. So the product team, they determine what we're building, right? But they can't determine that in isolation. So when the engineering team is coming to the plate, they are helping. Whatever decisions they are taking should help feed into what we are building. So understanding of, that's one way to do is understanding who is supporting and who's leading in what. The product team should trust the engineering team to execute how the things are going to come to pass and be able to listen to them in terms of when they are saying, okay, this particular thing isn't feasible or doing it this way wouldn't work. Here, at the expense of us not being able to deliver at X amount of time, right? Those things, when you understand where you're supporting and when you're leading, right, it really helps in the harmony that you guys have, because you guys have mutual respect for what you are doing, and you are able to leverage on each other, bounce off each other's experience. And it still boils down now. Second thing, it boils down to the first thing I said about value. Sometimes it can be egotistical of each team to want to show like, oh, I'm the engineering team, without you this thing will come out, without me this product will come alive. And the product team is that you guys don't even know what you're supposed to be building. In the end, it all boils down to value. It's not about what you love to do, what you're doing. It's not about what the other person is doing. It's about the value we are creating. If we all have a shared mindset as to what value is, the value we are creating for who, and at what point is this value still necessary, right? It brings us to a point, combine that with understanding who is supporting and leading any discussion, brings us to a point where everyone has shared ownership of this value. And second, the shared ownership of this value starts to create a synergy, because we all have well-defined boundaries and we know who is leading and who is supporting at any point in time, right? And we all come to an agreement based on the value that we are trying to create. So a good example would be, product team should start by explaining to the engineering team the impact that they're creating. So like, the moment I know the impact I am creating, right, you've sold me on owning that particular thing. So second, there's a shared ownership. Any conversation that comes after that becomes a conversation to bring that value to life. So you come to me and you're telling me, you see this, I see this potential market, right, where we have this number of customers that are having this difficulty in, let me give you an example, like businesses, for instance, may be finding it, let's say during the COVID period, right? Businesses may be finding, a lot of restaurants shut down during the COVID period, and we have a lot of businesses that are now doing deliveries, for instance, and then they find handling payment to be a problem, because people are, when they deliver it to you, let's say in that time there's nothing like POSs or something like that, nothing like transfers, right? So literally people don't always have cash, so it's affecting that bottom line, right? Quantifying the impact to even go beyond just statement of numbers, right, and saying, oh, there's this person that can't pay the school fees simply because they can't make enough money to do this. I like to do things like that. A lot of people would like to see things like metrics and transactions and numbers, engineers, right? But all these things translate into real value and real impact for people. So when you're able to bring everyone towards that shared ownership, the product team should not be alien. They should not be the only one that understands the impact that they're creating. Once you brought that shared ownership, then a real sense of what value means is shared amongst all the teams. And then they now understand that everything we're doing is in compromise to serve that value. So value for the business, because the business is social responsibility. Like, if the business can't keep providing this value you want to provide with the customer who sees. So imagine if a big company, like imagine if Qore shut down tomorrow simply because we keep shipping everything when it's not needed. Then the main question becomes, now can you even deliver value anymore? You can't. So it's like, just that shared, first of all, that shared ownership, understanding, bring everyone together, and now understanding where the boundaries lie and where you are leading and supporting. Product team tells you the what, engineering tells you the how, and then we bring those two things together to be able to deliver that value that we're looking for. And I think that would sort of bring in a lot more harmony between the teams, because it's not self-serving anymore. Like, it's not self-serving. So every decision we make, and there's mutual respect between every one of us too. I'm trusted to do the right things. that would get this vision in line, and then every other person can keep either person in check in terms of what values and when we're straying away from what that is, and come to an agreement.
Oh, cool. From what you said, I hear you talk about just understanding who does what, clearly stating, okay, this is this person's role, this is this team's role, and also driving who is leading, who is supporting. So there is no, in quotes, like you mentioned, which is one of the main things to consider, there's no clash of egos when we're all driving towards a particular vision, and that is value creation at the end of the day. And also helping the product team, helping the engineering team to see the impact story beyond just the technical requirements as well. So thank you very much for that. So I'm going to go to the last question for this episode of the podcast. I think this episode, people need to sit down and digest it again, because we shared a lot. But so my last question for you today would be, reflecting on your career, what is the most valuable lesson you've learned about working at the intersection between engineering and product? It could be one, it could be two, just like a recap, the most valuable lesson.
So for me, the most valuable lesson would be just knowing who you are doing this for, the impact, like being able to relate to the impact of what you're doing. Like you're building stuff for people that have lives, that matter, like that have things that they're doing. They have things that, like, every downtime you have is not just a downtime for SLA's sake. Every bug that you experience, right, it's not a bug for simply saying I have a quality software. It translates to something, right? So like working with the product closely made me see impact a lot differently than when I was just thinking back in, is it used the experience you're creating that translates to people's lives. Imagine if today, let's give an example, if for some reason, like terminals that we had, our merchants couldn't operate because of our terminals. You always say that this is too much, but I like to translate that impact into personal life. So like, if our terminals, these guys can't operate because of our terminals, this may be a frustrating day for, let me say, Aliu. Right, I'm saying let me see, it's actually someone's name. Like Aliu, and the person goes home frustrated after a long day of not being able to do business. The person has a kid. He's annoyed. You can't really talk to his kid the way you should talk to his kid to ask him about his day, right? You see how this translates just beyond just if he didn't just make money, or he couldn't earn an extra income. He's also frustrated as a human being. Because the quality of life of people are affected by the lines of coding, right? The attitude towards work. And the product team, because it's very value centered. The second, we miss that, right? And that's the one thing reflecting, like that's the one thing I would say, like keeping that at the center of what you do. There's a value, and value creates an impact. Understanding that impact, right, beyond just numbers and dashboards and metrics and KPIs, right? Those are the kind of things that like really change the way you build, right? Because now you're like, you understand like why you're building. You understand this. Your building serves something, and that's like I think for me that was really transformative.
Wow. Amazing. Thank you. Let me give you a round of applause. Thank you so much, Tobe, for sharing of your wealth of expertise and just sharing freely on this topic. I'm sure that the listeners as well have learned so much from this episode of the podcast. We look forward to bringing you again on another feature. Hope you're going to come for another.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. Share, like, comment, all the Instagrammy stuff. I don't know what else they used to do on Instagram, but yeah, all the stuff, right? Ask questions, please, right?
Yes, please.
So we can know how to feed that into the next episode. Whether I'm the one here or not. So hopefully I will be. I'll try my best to be here.
Thank you so much.
Value, remember, if you guys ask questions, then there's value I can provide. So please do.
Exactly. Yeah. So please feel free to drop your comments, questions you might even have for Tobe. Make sure you drop them in the comments, or you can just send us an email, and we'll do well to answer those questions. Till we come your way again on the next episode of the podcast. I remain Tolope Oga, and thank you for tuning in to this edition of the Qorent-Xperts podcast. See you on the next episode. Bye.